this over here. If they had been fasting and rain began to fall before sunrise, they need not complete the fast. If the rain began to fall after sunrise, they must complete the fast. But Eliezer says if it began to rain before midday, they need not complete the fast. But if the rain began after midday, they must complete the fast. It once happened that a fast was decreed in Lod and rain fell before midday. Reb Tarfon said to them, "Go out, eat and drink, and proclaim a holiday." Then they went out, ate, drank, and proclaimed the holiday. In the afternoon, they returned to the synagogue and recited the great holiday. On the 3 junctions of the year, the Kohanim raised their hands to bless the people 4 times during the day, at Shacharis, Musaf, Mincha, and Ne'ilah, on fast days, on Mamados, and on Yom Kippur. These are the Mamados, since the Torah states, "Command the children of Israel and say to them, my sacrifice, my bread." Now, how can a person's sacrifice be offered when he is not present? The early prophets instituted 24 Mizmaros, corresponding to every single Mishmar. There was a Mamad in Yerushalayim of Kohanim, Leviim, and Yerushalayim. Then the time approached for the Mishmar to ascend. The Kohanim and the Leviim would descend to Yerushalayim. The Israelim assigned to the Mishmar would assemble in their cities and read from the story of creation. All right.
Okay. Anshe Mishmar. Anshe Mishmar hayu misanim arba'a yamim b'shavua. So the people, Anshe Mamad, so the people who are in the Mamad, that is the Israelim who were left in the cities, they would have fasts on 4 days of the week, from Yom Sheni ad Yom Chamishi. Okay, Lo hayu misanim erev Shabbos, mipnei Kavod Shabbos. So they wouldn't fast on the Friday because of Kavod Shabbos. And also not on Sunday. I'm not. It says if they don't want the like this big contrast between this wonderful day of Shabbos and then the next day, then they go out and fast and die. I mean, we have fasts on Sundays, and people don't typically die from fasting on the Sunday. So I honestly, for the life of me, I can't understand why it says actually, the Mishnah in the Yerushalmi doesn't have this text. It leaves out it actually leaves out the whole sentence. But at any rate, the fact is that we have a gersa over here that says v'yamusa. I think it's just that since it's in any case an extra fast, it's not one of the fasts that the regular ones in the calendar. And this is something that's specific to the Mishmar. Chazal didn't say that the people in the Mamad need to fast on Sundays. They would only fast from Monday through Thursday.
The verse else says that though the Mishnah uses the term sumuso, yamamusu, they will die. The expression is meant figuratively.
Yeah.
So it's but we have fast, like we say, we do have fast. We go sometimes Thursday night, sometimes it's Tisha B'Av. We go right
on Sunday. We're talking about on Sunday.
We start Thursday. We start. What did I say? Thursday night. I mean, we start Moshe Shabbos and go into Sunday. So
this year Tisha B'Av is on a Sunday. Yeah.
Oh really? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, well, it's actually on Shabbos, but it's nidche to Sunday.
Right.
Okay. By Yom Rishon, so what's the laning for each day? On Sunday they lane from the Torah, Bereshis and Yehirakia. So it's the first 2 days, in other words. Basheni Yehirakia v'Yikavu Hamayim. So it's the second two. It's days 2 and 3. Bashlishi Yikavu Hamayim v'Yehi Ma'oros. So days 3 and 4, the water, the land and sea, and the celestial bodies. Baravi'i Yehi Ma'oros. The Yishutzu Hamayim, so it's the 4th and 5th days, the celestial bodies and the birds and the fish. The Chamishi Yishutzu Hamayim v'Totzei Haaretz. So on Thursday they read about the water creatures and about the land. Bashishi Totzei Haaretz and Vayechul Hashemayim. So they read the 6th and 7th days. Parsha Gedola, if it's a long parsha, Korim Osa B'Shnayim, then you can split it between 2 people, Katana Yachid. But if it's a small parsha, then you read it as a Yachid. Now, what does this mean, a small parsha? Basically, the rule that we have with laning is that if you're within 3 psukim of a break in the parsha, So first of all, you always have to read a minimum of 3 psukim per year. And second of all, you're not allowed to break closer than 3 psukim to a gap in the text. Right? Once you're that close, then you finish off to the next paragraph. Okay, and also from the beginning, you don't like read two psukim and then stop. So for example, if you have since you have the first day is quite a short day. It's only 5 psukim on the first day. So what you do is have the first person read 3 psukim, and the second person goes back 1 pasuk and reads the next reads 3, 4, and 5. Like we do on Rosh Chodesh, where there's that one pasuk that we read over twice because it works out that way with the paragraph breaks. Shachris of a Musaf, and they read this laning both at Shachris and at Musaf. Or hang on, at Musaf. In other words, this kriya from the Sefer Torah was at the Tefillah of Shachris, and also at Musaf if it happened to be that there was a Musaf on that day. Obviously, the Mamad goes through the whole year, so you'll have Mamados on Rosh Chodesh and on Chol HaMoed. Okay. Over Mincha nichnasin v'korin al pihen, but at Mincha time, we don't bring a Sefer Torah because of the Torah that people are weakened already from the fast, and rather they go into the Beis Knesset and read it al peh. Interesting.
Well, that was
that they're saying it by heart.
I didn't think you were supposed to allowed to do that.
Yeah, you're right. Generally we're not. Okay, v'korim is kriyas hayom bal peh. V'korin is shema, the same way as you do kriyas shema. Okay, you say that also bal peh. Okay, erev Shabbos b'mincha lo hayu nichnasim. Okay, when it comes to Friday, there was no mamad at mincha. V'lo letfila, v'lo lekriya, not for davening, not for kriyas Torah, mipnei kavod Shabbos, so that people can busy themselves with getting ready for Shabbos instead of having to go to this extra long shul service on Friday afternoon. Mishna Daled, Kol Yom sheyesh bo Hallel ein bo Mamad b'Shachris. If there's a day that you're saying Hallel, then there's no Mamad at Shachris. So let's say Chanukah. Okay. So if you've got a Chanukah, then we don't do Mamad at Shachris. In other words, that the people of the Mamad do not they don't say special prayers, and we don't read the laning of the Maaseh Bereshis in Shachris, because the Kriyas Hallel pushes off the Mamad of Shachris. Okay, so that Mamad is that's the special tefillah that they have, and so the Hallel takes its place. Korban Musaf, if there's a day when you have a Musaf as well, such as Rosh Chodesh or Chol HaMoed. So if there's a Korban Musaf ein bo b'ne'ilah, then there's nothing. There's no ne'ilah either for these days. Ein bo mamad ela b'tfilas ne'ilah. I'm looking at the commentary right now. So there's no mamad at all, not even for a ne'ilah, as we said above, and certainly not on the Musaf or the Mincha, right? Because the Korban Musaf pushes off all the rest of these things. There's a lot of discussion here among the different Mefarshim about what we're talking about, whether we're talking about the Anshe Mamad who are in Yerushalayim, or if we're talking about the people who are left in the cities. Since this is no longer our common practice, I think we're going to not dive too deep into this. Korban Eitzim. Now,
I think I'm missing something, because every time they say Nila, I keep thinking of Yom Kippur. Is there another time?
Right. That's right. Yeah. We said that Ne'ilah happens also for the Mamados and also for the Tanios. If you have Tanios for rain, they also have.
What Nila do they say then? The same Nila from Yom Kippur?
No, they have.
So.
I'm sure they'll have a different tefillah for Ne'ilah, which is more appropriate to the day. I mean, if you look at the Ne'ilah of Yom Kippur, it's all about about Yom Kippur and
right.
And whatever. So obviously they would have changed the tefillah to be something that's more appropriate to the day in question. We don't have that text because
we don't have that, right? So we don't know. We don't know.
It's not our practice. Okay. Korban Eitzim. Now, If there's a day when one of the families has a korban eitzim, and we're going to learn about korban eitzim in the next Mishnah, but there were days when people brought their contributions of wood, because you needed wood to be brought for the mizbeach. Okay, and there were certain people who had the privilege of bringing wood on certain days in the year. Okay, so if there's a day of korban eitzim, ein bo b'mincha, then we don't have a mamad at mincha, says Rabbi Akiva. Amar lo ben Azai, so ben Azai says to him, no, you're wrong. Kach haya Rabbi Yeshua shoneh. This is what Rabbi Yeshua taught me. Korban musaf, if there is a korban musaf, ein bo b'mincha, then there's no. So everything that we've learned up until now in the Mishnah has been the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Okay, ben Azai says to Rabbi Akiva, you've got it wrong. This is what I learned from Rabbi Yeshua. If there's a day when there's a korban musaf, ein bo b'mincha, then you don't have a mamad at mincha. If there's a korban eitzim, ein bo b'neila, then so the korban eitzim is even bigger than if there's a musaf, and there's not even a mamad at neila. Chazar Rabbi Akiva lios shane ben Azai. So Rabbi Akiva says, is that if that's what you heard from Rabbi Yeshua, then I recant everything that I said and I'll go with you. Okay. You see, the Tanaim don't have such big egos. It's nice to see that kind of stuff. Okay. Mishna Hey, Zman Atze Kohanim Tisha. So now this Mishnah is going to enumerate all of the occasions on which various different families had the privilege of bringing the korban eitzim, the wood sacrifices. The Echad ben Nisan, so on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Bnei Arach ben Yehuda. So there was a family, the Arach family from the tribe of Yehuda. Okay, the Eshrim B'Tammuz, and on the 20th of Tammuz, Bnei David ben Yehuda. This is the family of David HaMelech. Yeah. The Chamisha B'Av, on the 5th day of Av, Bnei Parosh ben Yehuda. Again, another family from Yehuda would bring there from Parosh family.
You said the first day. You said the first day of Av or the 5th?
The 5th.
Okay.
And then the 7th day is Bnei Yonadav ben Rechav. And so these are the children of Yonadav ben Rechav, and then this is the family of the family of Yisrael. Okay. Ba'asarabo, on the 10th of Av, Bnei Sana'a ben Binyamin. So from the tribe of Binyamin was the family of Sana'a. The Chamisha Asarbo Bnei Zaytu ben Yehuda, and once again a family from Yehuda, from Zaytu. And V'imahem Kohanim u'Levim v'chol mi she'tah b'shivto. And with them come all of the Kohanim and Levim and anyone who doesn't know his tribe. Bnei Gonvei Eli, and also the pestle smugglers. Now there's a Bnei Kotz Ekatzios, the ones who cut fig cakes, and there's a story behind this. They called the Bnei Gonvei Eli because there was a time when there was an emperor who prevented people from going to Yerushalayim to do korbanos, and these people would do this a smuggling thing. They would say, the guards would stop them and say, "Where are you going?" And they'd say, "No, we've got our figs over here. We just want to use there's some equipment over there. It's for us to press our fig cakes, and that's all that they want." And they opened the bags and they showed them all the figs that they wanted to press, and they said, "Okay, go on through." And of course, there's a false bottom in the bags where they're carrying all the stuff that they want to take to the mikdash. So they were remembered favorably for this deception in order to get past the Romans, and they would bring their korban eitzim on that day. The Esrim Bod on the 20th of Av, Bnei Pachas Moav ben Yehuda, another family from the Shevet Yehuda. But I mean, you see that the only tribes who are bringing are Yehuda and Binyamin, because they're the only tribes who left. So even at the time of the Mishnah, there were only those are the only tribes who actually had were extant. There were only a few stragglers who remained from other tribes. Be'esrim be'elul, on the 20th of Elul, Bnei Adin ben Yehuda. Be'echad be'teves, on the 1st of Teves, Shavu Bnei Parosh Shnia. So the sons of Parosh, who had already given earlier in the year, would bring again. Be'echad be'teves lo haya bo mamad. There was no there was no Mamad on the 1st of Teves. Why? Because it's Halal. Because it's Chanukah. Because so there was no Mamad at all. Because what have you got? You've got Chanukah, which has got the Halal, and you've got the Korban Musaf for Rosh Chodesh, and you've got a Korban Eitzim. So there was absolutely nothing. There was no Mamad at all on that day.
You said that because there were stragglers left. Are these stragglers considered the ones that for the 10 lost tribes? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, they would be from those. I mean, when you say the 10 lost tribes, historically, what happened was Sancherib came and conquered the kingdom of Israel, the northern kingdom, which had the 10 tribes in it. But of course, some people managed to escape and get to Yehuda. So, there were some people who were from all the various tribes, but they were decimated. So they never really regained a tribal identity. So there were survivors from those tribes,
right?
Not enough to keep a tribal identity.
So until Mashiach comes, we don't know what tribe we really come from.
Well, you may have some people who have a strong Masorah that they are from Shevet Yehuda, from Shevet Binyamin.
Right.
And you have, the various people, the Ethiopians claim to be from Dan, and the Indians claim to be from Menashe. So everyone has their Masorah, which maybe is, maybe isn't.
Right.
Excuse me. Zeku. Eliyahu Hanavi will come and tell us who is and who isn't, and it's at the moment it has absolutely no practical import, because
right.
Other than the Levium and Kohanim.
Right. And the Levium aren't even sure, some of them, I think.
No, they can have a very strong Masorah. The Levium and the Kohanim can have a Masorah from their parents, but and as far as we're concerned, it's fine. We give them an aliyah because it's no big deal to have an aliyah. But when it comes to Mamanos, if a Levi comes to you and says, "Hey, you've got lemons on your tree. I want the Maaser Rishon, please," and you can say to him, "Prove to me that you're a Levi."
Right.
If you can't prove it, then if he doesn't have the documents to prove it, then you don't have to give it to him. Okay, so let him have an aliyah. Let the Kohen get up to duchen. Let him have, whatever. It's that's on his cheshbon. But if you want to take money off me, then you got to prove it.
We had this morning. It reminded me of we learned about a while back. We learned about the Kohanim running up the ramp, and one pushed the other one off. So this morning we have two Leviim in the shul. Sometimes just one, but one of them doesn't hear very well. He was hearing it doesn't hear very well. So he called the rabbi called the other one up, and this guy who usually gets the one, he came running up also. So the two of them were standing over there. So he said, "No, you go, it's okay." It just reminded me that I clicked in my head. I said,
okay.
All right. Okay, we are on Aleph Dalet.
Aleph Hey.
No, Aleph Hey. If Rosh Chodesh Kilev arrived, but the rain did not fall, Bezdin decrees a series of 3 fasts upon the entire community. They may eat, drink, and after dark, and they are permitted to work, bathe, anoint themselves with oil, wear shoes, and have marital relations. If these fasts passed and they were not answered with rain, Bezdin decrees a series of 3 more fasts upon the entire community. They may eat and drink only while it is still daytime, and they are forbidden to work, bathe, anoint themselves with oil, wear shoes, and have marital relations. Also, they must lock the public bathhouses. If these fasts passed and they were not answered with rain, Bezdin decrees a series of 7 more fasts upon them, totaling 13 fasts upon the entire community. These latter 7 fasts are more stringent than the earlier ones, for on these, the second, they sound the shofar and lock the stores. On Monday, they may open the store doors partially toward evening, but on Thursday, they're permitted to keep the doors open in honor of Shabbos. If these fasts passed and they were not answered with rain, they must increase commerce, construction, planting, betrothals, marriages, and greeting one another, as befits people censured by the omnipresent. The distinguished individuals resume their fasting until Nisan is over, and after Nisan ended, rain fell. It is a symptom of curse, as it says, is to made up the wheat harvest. Okay.
It's okay. Daled Yod.
As it was performed during the weekdays, so it was performed on Shabbos, except that he was filled on Friday a golden barrel that had not been consecrated with water from the Shiloach and deposited in a chamber. If the water was split or what was left exposed, he would fill the flagon from the laver, since exposed wine or water unfit for the altar. The flute on 5 or on 6. This was the flute of Beit Shaweva, the house of the water drawing. Since it does not override Shabbos on Yom Tov, they said whoever has not seen the rejoicing of the Beit Shaweva has never seen rejoicing in his life. On the conclusion of the first day of the festival, they would go down to the court of women and make a great improvement there. There were golden candlesticks there and 4 golden bowls at the top of them and 4 ladders for each one, and 4 boys from among the young priests, and in their hands were jugs of oil holding 120 logs that they would pour into each bowl.
Okay.
Heavy load. Okay.
Erevin Ches Zayin.
If a canal passes through a courtyard, we may not draw water from it on Shabbos unless they made a partition 10 tefachim high at the inlet and the outlet. Rabbi Yehuda says the wall over it is considered a partition. Said Rabbi Yehuda, it happened that there was a canal in Avel from which they drew water on Shabbos upon the ruling of the sages. They answered him because it did not have the minimum dimensions. If a balcony is above the water, we may not draw water from it on Shabbos unless they made a partition 10 tefachim high for it, either from above or below. Similarly, 2 balconies, one above the other, if they made a partition for the upper one but did not make one for the lower one, both are prohibited unless they make an erev. If a courtyard is less than 4 amos, we may not pour water into it on Shabbos unless they made a pit which can hold 2 sa'ah below the opening, whether on the outside or on the inside, except that on the outside he must cover it, whereas on the inside he may not cover it. Okay. Okay, Demai.
Ches.
If one buys tevel from 2 places, he may tithe from one for the other, although they said one may not sell tevel except in the case of necessity. One may give tithe from a Jew's for that of a non-Jew's, from a non-Jew's for that of a Jew, for a Jew's for that of a Kuthian, from a Kuthian for that of the Kuthians. If Eliezer forbids from a Kuthians for that of Kuthians. That stuff. Okay. A perforated pot is as the earth. If we gave truma from the earth for a perforated pot, from a perforated pot for the earth, his truma is truma. From a non-perforated pot for a perforated one, it is truma. But he must give truma again. From a perforated one for a non-perforated one, it is truma, but may not be eaten until he separates truma and maasros from it, for it.
So this is where you're taking from the pater on the chayav or on the chayav on the pater. You create problems
Right.
for yourself because you've declared it truma, so we're not going to undeclare it, but it's not a proper truma. So what you're giving to the kohen is actually still table, and the kohen now actually has to separate the truma himself.
Tes Gimel. Regarding a sheretz that was found beneath the floor of an oven, the oven is tahor, for I say it fell while alive, and only now did it die. And Basilo says even the siphon is tahor. Subsequently,
Whoa.
I the wrong way. I turned the wrong way. Okay, my fault. Regarding a needle or ring that was found beneath the floor of an oven, the oven is tahor, for I say they were there before the oven arrived. If they were found in the ashes, the oven is tamei, for there is nothing to which it can be attributed. Regarding a sponge that absorbed tamei beverage and was dry on the outside and it fell in the airspace of an oven, the oven is tamei because the beverage will eventually emerge. And similarly, a piece of turnip or reed grass. Reb Shimon chose tahor in these 2 cases. Regarding shards of earthenware that were used for tamei beverages and they fell into the airspace of an oven. If the oven was heated, it's tamei because the beverages will eventually emerge. And similarly with new mark, in the case of old mark, the oven is tahor. And if it is known that beverage comes out of it, even after 3 years, the oven becomes tamei. Okay. Both the son and daughter have the same laws concerning inheritance, except that the son takes a double share of the father's estate, but does not take a double share of the mother's estate. And the daughters are supported from the father's estate, but they are not supported from the mother's estate. One who says, that man, my firstborn son, shall not take a double share, or that man, my son, shall not inherit with his brothers, has not said anything because he has stipulated contrary to what is written in the Torah. One who apportions his estate to his sons orally, increasing the share of one and decreasing the share of one, or making the firstborn equal to them, his words are upheld. But if he said that it was to be by inheritance, he has not said anything. If he wrote, whether in the beginning, the middle, or the end, that there was to be a gift, his words are upheld. One who says, that man shall inherit me, in a case in which there is a daughter, or my daughter shall inherit me, in a case in which there is a son, he has not said anything because he has stipulated contrary to what is written in the Torah. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka says, if he said this about one who is eligible for the inheritance, his words are upheld. And if about one who is not eligible for the inheritance, his words are not upheld. One who signs over his property to another and sets aside his sons, what he did is done, but the sage is not pleased with him. Reb Shimon Gamliel says, if his sons do not conduct themselves properly, he is remembered for good. One who says, this is my son, is believed. If he said, this is my brother, he is not believed, but he must share his portion with him. If he died, the possessions return to their place. The possessions fell to him from another source, his brother inherits with him. If one died and a will was found tied to his thigh, it is void. If he granted title to someone else with it, whether from the heirs or not, his words are upheld.
Okay.
I wonder what happens in the case of someone who's a firm person, and he's the eldest, he's the son, and there's a daughter. Now, according to Torah, he's supposed to get double share, but the courts don't here, like in America, they don't really follow Torah law. So she probably has to make a suit against the guy
if it comes down to it, and if one of the children decides that they don't like the way of the Torah Yerusha, then they could take it to secular court and win, because the secular court is not going to recognize the Torah's apportionment, which is why it's a good idea to have a halachic will.
Right, for sure.
Because that will explicitly, it'll get around the halacha, and it'll be phrased in a legal way that you can divide up your inheritance the way you want it to be.
Yeah, we don't have any firstborn sons between the grandchildren and all that, but we made up the halakhic will, and he had to write it a certain way, so the girls and that whole thing. So,
do you have sons?
I don't have. I don't have sons, just grandsons. We had two girls.
So your girls are your Yoshim. There's nothing. That's a pretty uncomplicated situation.
Yeah, it wasn't.
All of your daughters are entitled automatically to an equal share of your Yerusha.
We'll see about that.
Okay.
All right. Have a great day. Enjoy.